After Tuesday night's All-Star game in Cleveland, we are officially halfway done with the 2019 MLB season. I'm Max Goodman with GoodHacks, and this is another edition of the low-budget breakdown. So, if the season ended right now, today, this is what the playoff bracket would look like in Major League Baseball. We've got Tampa Bay hosting Cleveland in the AL wildcard game. You've got the Nationals hosting the Phillies in the NL. Dodgers, best record in the NL. Yankees, best record in the AL. But it's kind of boring just to go with that, right? Let's try to think of what the playoff bracket will look like at the very end of this season. And so, this is what I came up with. And you'll see that it's not very different than what the playoffs would look like right now. Besides the wild card games, the only change that I have is that I think that the Brewers are going to win the NL Central and that the Cubs are going to host the wild card game. But let's get into those two wild card games where most of the changes are from right now. Starting in the AL, it used to be the Rays hosting the Indians, but now the Red Sox are hosting the Rays. A tremendous season so far for the Rays. But the Red Sox have been dealing with quite a few injuries, and they haven't been at their best so far. They made the World Series, and they won the World Series last year, so you can assume that they're going to turn it on, maybe make some deals, and they'll be right there at the end of this season. So this AL wildcard game is going to be at Fenway Park. Chris Sale on the mound. You'd think Red Sox will run away with this, right? The Rays aren't proven yet. But here's the reason why I have the Rays winning this game. They're going to revolutionize the wild card game. I've got Ryan Stanek starting, going one inning, getting the top three hitters in the Red Sox lineup. Then Blake Snell, former Cy Young Award winner, coming in, pitching 3 or 4 innings, getting them through about 5, and then one of the best bullpens in the entire league comes in and shuts the Red Sox down, making sure that none of their hitters get comfortable facing a pitcher more than once. Remember, the rosters expand in September, so they're going to have a lot of bullpen arms. And the Rays steal a game at Fenway and get to the next round. Moving over to the NL, this was actually the hardest decision for me to make. Not who's going to win this game, but who's going to be in this game. If the season ended today, there's about 8 teams within a few games from that wild card spot, or the 2 wild card spots in the NL, including the Padres, the Diamondbacks, the Pirates, the Reds. There's a lot of teams in contention, but like I said earlier, I have the Cubs winning the first spot and the Nationals slipping down to 2. Phillies, even with Bryce Harper, aren't going to make the playoffs this year. So the Nationals are a little bit of a conundrum in the sense that they have the 3rd best starter rotation ERA and the worst bullpen ERA. So you'd think if the season ended right now, they'd be the top wildcard team with the worst bullpen ERA in all of baseball. It can't get much worse than that. They're going to hold on, carried by their pitching staff. But like last year, the Cubs are going to host the wildcard game, and again, just like they lost to the Rockies last year, they're going to lose to the Nationals because if I could pick any pitcher in all of baseball to pitch a one-game playoff, it's Max Scherzer. Just think of the 2 different colored eyes staring in at the friendly confines, the grit, the tenacity. I've got Scherzer winning that game single-handedly. Even if the Cubs have, Darvish, Lester, Quintana, they got a lot of arms too. So that settles it. We've got the divisional series all set up. Let's go back to the American League. Houston has been pretty good so far, but Minnesota, I really want to pick Minnesota in this game. They're setting themselves up to shatter records in terms of home runs, and this is going to be one of their best years in franchise history, no matter what. But it's hard for me to pick against the Astros pitching staff. Verlander started the All-Star game. They've got Garrett Cole, they've got Wade Miley, and their depth offensively is so great. I want to pick Minnesota, but I'm going to go with Houston. And you'll see later that it really doesn't matter either way. I've got the Yankees taking care of the Rays down here. They've been, killing the Rays so far this year. When it's Tanaka, no matter who the Yankees throw out there, the Rays offense just can't really hang with them. So I've got the Yankees advancing to the ALCS. Coming back over to the NL. I think that this series between the Brewers and the Braves is going to be the best series at this point in the playoffs in terms of the divisional race. The Brewers, with Christian Yelich, who might win his 2nd consecutive MVP, against the Braves, a young team, but the Braves' rotation hasn't been great this year. They had to pick up Dallas Keuchel in order to, continue with their big lead in the NL East. I think that the Brewers are going to go out and get either Madison Bumgarner, Marcus Stroman, Aaron Sanchez, or another arm to make their rotation even better, this series is going to go to 5 games, but the Brewers are going to take it. And that's setting up a rematch with the Dodgers in the NLCS. As much as I'd love to pick the Nationals because of Scherzer, Corbin, and Strasburg, I don't know. It's really hard to pick against the Dodgers and Bellinger and that offense. They're a juggernaut, and they're going to take care of business and set up a rematch here. Now we're down to 4 teams, and I think it's really the 4 best teams in all of baseball. So it makes sense that they've gotten to this far. Let's go back to the AL. It's going to be the 3rd year in a row that a different team has come out of the AL. And the Yankees are in search of their 28th ring. They're hungry, and they're going to make some deals at the deadline too. Their bullpen is tremendous. Their offense is deep. And if any team's going to be able to beat the Houston pitching staff, like I said, Verlander and Cole, it's going to be the Yankees. Now coming back over to the NL, I want to pick the Brewers. I think it's a tremendous story. I love Christian Yelich's game, but the Dodgers are the best team in baseball. And they're so hungry. They're going to get back to the World Series for the 3rd straight year. And it's hard for a team to lose 3 straight World Series. So this is why the Dodgers are the World Series champions in 2019. Reason number 1, like I said, they're hungry. They're not going to lose 3 straight World Series. They're not the Buffalo Bills. They can do this. They have the roster, and they're going to take care of business. Second reason, the Yankees are going to be having to play in interleague matchups. We talked about this on the last low-budget breakdown. With Edwin Encarnacion on their roster, they're so deep, and that's a good thing. But when they play in the NL, some guys are going to have to sit, and some guys are going to have to play the field that normally wouldn't. So defense is going to be down, and guys are going to be coming off the bench when you'd really prefer to have them hitting 3 or 4 times in the game. And lastly, I do have the Yankees making it this far, but regardless of the deals they make, regardless of how many arms they have in the bullpen and the September call-ups, somebody's going to get hurt. They've been dealing with this all season long. Injuries have plagued this team. Somebody in an important situation is going to get hurt, and it's going to hurt them in terms of their chances to win the World Series. I bet this goes 6 games, maybe even 7, but I've got the Dodgers, the LA Dodgers, winning the 2019 World Series. But hey, there's 80 games left. The entire second half. Anything can happen. We know for certain that it's going to be a fun playoff run regardless.